Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Halloween. Today is the Broadband Committee meeting, and I will call it to order at 9 o'clock. I will read the disclosure. All public meetings are live streamed and recorded. Any verbal or written information provided may be included in public documents as per the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, FOIP 41. We all have an agenda before us. Adoption of the agenda.
And holds no promise to discuss EV charging or land acknowledgement. I will happily motion to adopt the circulated.
Thank you, Councillor Lougheed. All those in favor? Thank you. Carried. The minutes of the June 29th Broadband Committee meeting. Adoption of those minutes. Councillor Graham? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. We'll now go to 4.1, reports, and I'll turn it over to Mr. McDonald.
It's one of those days already. Good morning, Chair and Committee. So we'll just start off with the basics. We'll go forward. The construction phase 1, 2 to 6 is complete. The Farrier Tower and phase 6 Nordegg Tower is complete. We're working with telecommunication providers to see if we can get their contract signed, so it's in that motion right there. In general, we did a news release on Clearwater County's open access network on September 21st with Rigstar Telecommunications as our network operation provider. And the news release is attached at the end of the document so that it's so people can see it on the website and such. So it has been posted on many media spots, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And we've included the URL, the website address for that. And it also, news release also contains a link to Rigstar Clearwater County's wholesale services landing page, which is our new access for the expression of interest. So it's live 24/7. It doesn't have to go back and forth. The media. So on your desks, you might notice there's bags, card, and a pen. We've been out a little bit at, oh boy, here I'm gonna go for the name of that. There was a meeting, AM meeting, a couple weeks ago. We were handing out cards with Rigstar, not cards, sorry, those bags and the pens. The cards are a new thing. We figured it out on Thursday and we got new cards ready for everybody. So they have a scan on them. You can scan them and it takes you to that website for the expression of interest for ISP. So that's, if you guys are out, I gave you 10 each to hand out. If you want more, just give me a ring, hand them out to telecommunications providers or anybody that'll listen. Sort of, it's as a media, sort of media and marketing thing to do. So if you're at, I think RMA, am I correct? Those are big places you could probably hand them out. We're also doing a podcast. Well, we did the podcast on Thursday or Friday, last week, Friday, I think. And it was an interview with Dan Grisdale, from the owner of Rigstar, and with Jerry Pratt, our economic development person. So to sort of put that out, that'll be in a couple weeks to promote what we're doing for open access for the telecommunications provider. The CRTC grant applications we did submit earlier this year. We're still waiting to hear back from them. Nothing. I've tried every angle that I know, as per usual. It doesn't work. So hopefully we hear back from them. That's the CRTC grant. That was for the phase 3 for the Condor area, just to make point of clarifications. We've returned, or we're in the midst of returning our conduit reels. Duraline is building a new plant in St. Albert, which is good news for Alberta. They're actually going to be building conduit right in Alberta. So we won't have to be, searching through Canada and the United States to get conduit, which is really good. So that's gonna save us quite a bit of shipping, money, because we would have had to ship them all back to Ontario, so it's significant. Again, the broadband podcast series, we're gonna be, adding to that as we go. We'll probably interview maybe the committee and stuff like that. We've plans as we go forward. So, we're on, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, Podcast, Amazon Music, and there's other streaming services that are included in that. Just checking. Protection of conduit, because we've got the conduit, and that it's been sitting out sort of in the field, we've put, basically we used hay tarps to put over them instead of building a building that was exorbitantly costly to put it in. So we've do that to protect it from the UV rays, just as long-term, because it's sat over a couple winters, and anything we can do to sort of save our inventory is a good idea. So we're trying to protect things from sitting over the harsh winter. Underground locates software is still in place, and we did a demonstration with you guys on that. Just as sort of, and I've included a chart, but just as a reminder, I did put what a conflict and non-conflict is for people that are going to be reviewing this through the web. They wouldn't know what we have, so I've put a definition, sort of what a conflict is that, and I think we're going to probably add it to our network. We have that network terminology thing. I think we're going to add that with a little, basically this caption and explanation, so that people, when they're reviewing these charts and stuff, they actually see and understand what's going on. So if you can go to that chart, please. So we've had, thank you very much. We've had 206 locates as of, that was in mid-September that we did this. October. And 5 emergency call-outs. And so out of the tickets, conflict and non-conflict, we're still finding quite a lot of savings in the non-conflicts. That means we don't have to roll a truck. We don't have to put pins in the ground. So it's basically just the cost of the administration part, not the cost of rolling a truck out for inspection and putting the flags out, and then doing it multiple times. We find a lot of these contractors call for flags, 30 days or 45 days later, they want them again and again and again, and it's could be 3 or 4 times, some of these guys. So it's nice that we've got that conflict resolution, that we've got a big enough buffer. So that's worked out really well. And then just this last is just the news release. And I know you're all very familiar with this part, so I'm sort of at the end of this. Any questions?
Deputy Reeve? No.
Thank you, Reeve. Or Mario. Which would you prefer today?
Doesn't matter.
Princess Peach.
Right. I thought we had done this already, so I was excited to see a news release, but I thought we had done this months earlier. Yeah. So I was kind of confused. So I'd love to dig into this to find out what is different than we did months and months ago.
Nothing. Just didn't present it to the broadband committee meeting.
No. I saw it go live out in September,
Yeah.
but I mean months ago.
Well, it was in September.
6 months ago, I thought we had done this.
No, not 6 months ago. No. It was in.
Is this not going out for a request for expression of interest?
No, this is for our broadband. No, expression of interest, no. So broadband, this was our introduction to the network operator.
Oh, okay.
So that they're gonna be doing, it's going through their sort of portal to do this.
Okay, I thought I saw another news release for expression of interest, so I apologize.
No, the expression of interest, we've decided not to put it on Alberta Purchasing Connection anymore. It's a harder platform, and not a lot of people are going to it as much. So we're trying to focus our energy just on one access point through it. So it's a lot more streamlined, and we can collect the data on it a lot more. On the Alberta Purchasing Connection, we don't know the hits and all that kind of thing. We don't know if 10 people are looking or they're, now we know specifically all the analytics.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
CRTC grant application submissions, you're saying you're kind of hitting some walls there. When are you putting us in, Coach? Like,
Anytime
when
you
can we go
want.
political? Well, I've asked for over a year to be involved and to try to
Well,
advocate for our community and the importance of the broadband program. I'm happy to have the Reeve and myself go and do that.
absolutely. My only one caveat to this is, CRTC, yeah, okay. We just put it in May, was it? Or June, so, I don't know if they're moving that fast, and I don't know how much traction you get, but go ahead, like, I don't have a qualm about doing any of that stuff. It's just, I guess, I don't know if people, how do I say this? If people in those positions that are making their minds up, get it from the top down, are they gonna be soured? That's the risk I see. I don't know if, but that's up to you guys. You guys know the political environment way better than I do. I don't have a clue. That's out of my,
Can we request that administration set up a meeting?
I don't even know who to contact for the meeting. It just goes into a pile. But if
with
you guys
the-
know somebody,
With the Innovation and Technologies Minister, let's,
we can try. I can try anything. I don't know. Mary or Rick?
Yeah, sorry. CEO Emmons.
Thank you, Chair.
Looking at-
I believe administration has. I will double check with Ledge and make sure, but we were trying to reach out for that exact reason. And actually, if we could get councillors in front of the provincial level, our hope was having our governance lobby at a provincial level, recognizing this isn't a provincial grant, but they could take it the next step up.
Oh, I see.
So we've already extended that. Just don't know the status of acceptance at this time.
excellent, thank you. If and when, hopefully when, that meeting comes to fruition, it'd be very helpful, or at least for myself, to have a background, of like talking, so we don't step into a realm we're not supposed to discuss openly. So that would be very helpful if and when that meeting comes to fruition.
Okay, and yeah, and if you need anything, just reach out and we'll,
Excellent,
talking points or something like that.
that'd be great, thank you.
It might be a discussion point that we can have with our own MLA minister next week during RMA and to advance that point, and maybe he can help move that needle
Even a little.
with Nate Gublish as well. Minister Gublish, I believe, is that. So anyway, anything further in regards to questions, comments in regards to the report? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion to accept the report as presented. Oh. Looking for a motion to accept the report. Oh. I will move the report as accepted for information. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. We now have a closed session before us, so looking for a motion to go into closed session. Deputy Reeve Melhoff, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you. welcome back. We are now out of our closed session and we are going to continue along the agenda before us at 6.1. And I'll direct that over to Mr. Hagan, please. Oh, forgot my mustache. There you go. All set.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So item 6.1 is representative of a draft capital budget for 2024, as well as projected capital budget requirements for 2025 and 2026. So a bit of background, back in August of 2020, Council of the Day assigned priorities to the 6 phases of the core backbone project. Phases 1 and 2 are both complete, as is phase 6, which was moved up in the priority list at a separate meeting, which leaves phase 3 as the next one on the priority list to commence construction on. Related to that, in June of this year, administration put an application in with the CRTC, which is the Canadian Radio, Television, Telecommunications Commission, for a grant available for core backbone, or a transport layer. We've received no information to date on this application. Through many means we're trying to get updates, but there's absolutely no information being shared back to us. So unfortunately, I can't give you any update on the status of that grant application. So as a reminder, phase 3 of the core backbone project is going from Rocky, East Central out to the Red Deer County border, would be servicing the Condor area on its way through there. So the budget figure that we've suggested is $3,437,890 for core backbone construction for phase 3. Phase 4, we're projecting $2,263,140, and phase 5, which is the last phase to be completed, is $3,017,520. So to assist the committee, we broke this down in a recommendation that provides 4 options for consideration. First option is that we commence phase 3 construction prior to receiving confirmation of any CRTC grant funding. This would mean that potentially if the grant funding doesn't come through, that entire $3.4 million will be borne by the county. If it is subsequently approved, we might see reduced funding coming through. We likely wouldn't see the full available amount of the funding. Second option is to postpone the phase 3 construction until the CRTC grant funding is approved. Option 3 is the committee could direct us to change the project phase priority by replacing phase 3 construction with either phase 4 or phase 5 in 2024. Option 4 is to defer all 3 phases, core backbone construction, out a year. So move phase 3 to 2025, phase 4, 2026, phase 5 to 2027.
Thank you very much. Now open for discussion. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. How much is the CRTC grant proposed for, percentage-wise?
Mr. MacDonald.
75%, up to 75%, but they could change the scale without us knowing. But 75% is the goal.
Thank you.
Councillor Lohi.
Yes, it's my understanding that some of the phase 3 planning would be optimized with following the Highway 11 routing. As we know, there is a twinning project that's going forward. We don't know exactly when that project will do, but I would assume that it could happen over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. That gives us some uncertainty on the routing. How critical is that Highway 11 route to that phase, and would there be an advantage to delaying it until it could be worked in conjunction with that construction work, at least in the Clearwater County portion of Highway 11 twinning?
Just in response to that, phase three isn't, we can plan to put it down 11, but the plan was actually to go through Leslieville and across through our own roads and to Condor, catching more businesses and more population as we route it through. So we actually never really, we sort of looked at going down 11, but because of the twinning and stuff, we thought we'd probably be common sense to sort of stay away until we actually knew what they were doing, because we don't want to put a line in and then have to move it. It's very costly to do that. So I would think that with planning with this committee, we could actually plan maybe a different route, because that is, phase three is an older, it's been around for 4 or 5 years. Things have changed, we've upgraded. We can always change the routing as we go. Or have a meeting about it and talk about, you know, should we go down this road, should we go down this road? Is there businesses or somebody that we could help?
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. Leslieville and Condor just got brand new schools. How do those schools get their internet connection?
You get it through, no, sorry.
Mr.
They
McNeil?
get it through, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. They get it through Axia right now, and I know, I believe if we talk to Wild Rose, there may be something we could do with them in the future, but I'd have to reopen those discussions with Wild Rose to get permanent situations. But they use Axia right now, which is costly.
Follow up?
Yes.
What is that? Is that fiber? Is that satellite?
It's fiber.
Is that it? So there is fiber in Leslieville.
There's fiber in Leslieville through Axia only. No, Leslieville, yes, in Leslieville, and in Condor, also
Okay.
from Axia, which is Bell Canada. Now,
Okay. So why are
Supernet.
we duplicating a service that's already existing in Leslieville and Condor?
Well, it's not publicly, they don't put it out for public use,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would that be the old, what we would call Supernet?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
sorry, sorry.
No, that's
I hear so
fine.
many names of it now, it's, yeah,
It's
it's the SuperNet system.
Yes.
It's there.
Yeah. Follow up or? Okay. Okay, Councillor Lohi? Yep.
Definitely, sometimes I've referenced 20 years behind. Rural Alberta was intended to be serviced by SuperNet, provincial initiative, many years ago. Ran into some challenges, but they did end up connecting many public buildings as well as schools and libraries in that process, and then turned the management over to a number of different private enterprises to manage, and that they haven't chose to extend that availability to the general public or business or anything else like that. So essentially, I'll just say it in the most crude way, maybe perhaps the province invested on our behalf in that network, and then turned it over to the private sector, which sat on that as sat on it till now. So we can't hope. I'll tell you, with myself, I have 2 major fiber optic lines within a stone's throw of my house and no ability to connect to them, 0. I have to pound fence posts with people standing in my yard so that I don't damage that, but no way for the community. The community has it as a disadvantage, not as an advantage. It is frustrating.
Sure. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you. I believe it was the connectivity forum that we went with you. Was that last year or year before? Or 2? That was 2 years ago already?
2.
What? Anyway, one of the big side things they put on, not on the main stage, but when they teach you about things on the, anyway, it doesn't matter. One of the breakout sessions, thank you, Reeve. One of the breakout sessions was dark fiber and how there is so much of it that we can't actually access. Is there an opportunity for this committee to build a resolution to our provincial government to actually utilize the infrastructure that they have put all of the money and effort into on behalf of the Alberta taxpayer?
Mr. Hagan.
Certainly, Councilor Malaf administration will take any direction this committee provides to us. And if that's the wish of the committee, we will absolutely investigate that and report back.
I personally would love to see us advocate on behalf of rural Alberta for the use of the infrastructure that this province built. And we should be able to utilize it, provided it has the ability to do so.
Well, before us, we have, as indicated by Director Hagan, we have 3 options in this particular, to decide on the core backbone in regards to how we want to proceed, this committee to proceed. As outlined before, we can proceed with phase 3 prior to the CRTC grant, postponed phase 3, change the priority to add to either phase 4 or phase 5, or defer all 3 phases until pending, I would imagine the pending CRTC. So what would this committee like to do? Councillor Graham.
For myself right now, I'm with option 4 to defer until further notice, just until we have more information.
Okay. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Just for a point of clarification, if we defer, pretty much inevitably, should CRTC come through, will this come back for a redecision? That doesn't preclude us from continuing forward if CRTC does end up saying we are the chosen one?
Yes, Matrag.
Absolutely. This committee has the ability by council resolution to make those decisions. So if phase 3 was deferred for the time being and new information came to light, absolutely administration bring that back to the committee for information and decision. And then if the committee wanted to proceed at that point, the committee can pass a resolution to that effect and then a recommendation to council in terms of budget and funding source.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I will certainly be supporting to defer these phases with the optimism that we will hear other news on the CRTC as discussed earlier. I want to prove out what we already have. We've built 3 chunks of backbone and have yet to hook up a person. I understand that stuff is in the works. Administration works tirelessly to try to prove out our systems, but I want to wait and see how that goes before I approve further backbone development.
Right. Councillor Graham.
I would like to make a motion that the committee recommends to council option 4 to defer phase 3, 4, and 5 core backbone construction in 2024, 25, 26, and 27 respectively.
Discussion on the motion. I would, I guess if something should come in regards to the CRTC understanding and it comes back to this committee or for approval or discussion, there could be opportunity to then re-advance those particular core backbone projects at that particular point in time. Okay, just for clarification. Good. Okay, thank you. So motion on the table. I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Now moving on to the core backbone operating budget. No. Is this in regards to the next item?
This is what we had previously discussed.
So Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Just to ensure that it's always important that administration have marching orders through resolution. So I would like to motion that we direct administration to bring background on a potential resolution to advocate for rural residents for connectivity to the current infrastructure that was built by the Alberta government.
Very good. Dark fiber. Everybody understand the essence of the motion?
Formerly known as the SuperNet.
any available opportunity. I don't think we should restrict ourselves, any available opportunity.
Councillor Northcott?
Can I just get clarity on that one more time? Just
Yep.
And then I also do have a comment.
Okay.
My intent is for us to request that the Alberta government give access to ISPs and or municipalities and or NAD in order to access the infrastructure that is already available and in the ground. Therefore making it so that people don't have to duplicate a service that's already available. Give access to the ones that are there.
Excellent. No, that was a comment that I'd made a long time ago, that it seems to be redundant, and it would be nice to have a justifiable reason from the governments of Alberta on why that infrastructure cannot be utilized if it's truly about connecting, like connectivity to get residents connected with fiber. Why can't we access that? Because it breeds redundancy. There's so many areas that already do have fiber in the location, but like Councillor Lougheed said, unable to connect to it. So it'd be nice to be able to have the reasoning on why, or reduce the barrier so that we can get connected to it. Thank you. Absolutely, I'll support that for sure.
Thank you. Just a quick question in regards to some of that SuperNet operations, et cetera. I know it's operated by private industry. I've heard over the years that they talk about throttling down. Is that up to the private industry to monitor that, or does the government say, no, this has to go down? I know it's been as Councillor Lougheed has indicated, it's frustrating not to connect, but I do understand that the SuperNet has not been perfect either because of the fact there has been restrictions. If you could just maybe give it a little clarity, please, Mr. McDonald.
To best of my knowledge, the throttling down for any ISP or telecommunications provider is not allowed from the CRTC. Whether they do it or not is not my judgment or my place to say. But I do know that when they bill you out at different megabits per speed, and you pay for certain amounts, 5 megs or 10 megs or whatever. And the systems in there do what's called quality of service, and they manage those, what you fee for your pay. And they manage it up to, not, say it's 5 megs, it's not up to 5 megs, it can be up to 5 megs. So you may get 4 or 3, but you never get your 5 megabits, if that's clear. So it's a gray area, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Unless it's changed in some CRTC thing that's changed today.
Very good. Councillor Lougheed.
Although I believe advocacy is truly powerful, in this case, that has been attempted before in the past. Ultimately, I don't believe the province has the control of that entity any longer. And through political decisions of the past and lack of resolve from those elected officials, that's exactly why that, which should be a great asset to rural Alberta, has been minimized in its impact. I don't know if the province will ever admit that they dropped the ball in this case. They had good planning, just lacked the resolve to follow through. And I don't know if we'll ever pin them into that, but I won't be supporting the motion because I think our energies are better focused on what we can do rather than what we can't do.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so a motion before us by Deputy Melhoff to advocate to the province to give access to the existing fiber infrastructure or dark fiber. All clear on the motion. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. All right, continuing on to 6.2, the operating budget for 2024. Oh, do we have more motions under 6.1? Oh, I apologize. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would suggest that our second recommendation is not applicable, given the motion that was carried
Okay.
earlier for
Okay.
2024. But I would suggest that recommendation 3 is worthy of a motion, that the committee recommends that council approve the Broadband Core Backbone Project 10-year capital plan with the amendments that were discussed previously, pushing all 3 phases off 1 year.
1 year. All right. So motion in that to effect for, if I could, Councillor Graham, please.
I would like to make a motion that the committee recommends council to approve the broadband backbone 10-year 10-year capital project plan with the amendments of the phase 3, 4, and 5 being removed. Deferred 1 year each.
Okay. Very good. I will, any clarity? Deputy Reeve Malhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I just want to confirm that that will give us the opportunity to have this conversation again come budget time, and it can either stay as we're doing it now, or like next year's budget, or it can be deferred again, depending on information within the next 12 months.
Go ahead, Mr. Hagan.
So for budget deliberations for the 2024 budget, we will show no draft budget for core backbone construction in 2024, but absolutely, depending on the conversations and decisions made by this committee and the direction provided, we will incorporate that into a draft budget for 2025 and beyond.
Thank you. And can be changed at that budget cycle.
Or before, depending on this committee. It could be mid-year.
Okay.
If new information comes to light, we'll bring it back to the committee for decision.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Northcutt, or Councillor Northcutt.
So really at this time, we're just keeping it as a line item at this time.
Mr. Hagan?
Yeah, it'll be a planned project for 2025 at this point, and then the other 2 phases following the years after respectively.
Councillor Lougheed?
Again, I just will explain why I won't support the motion. It's kicking the can down the road, it sends the wrong signal, and it really indicates indecisiveness. So I will not be supporting the motion.
Any further comments or questions? I agree with Councillor Lougheed in this regards. I believe that we need to keep pressing forward. There's opportunities, and we got to be ready. And so that's the only way we're going to be ready, is if we have those decisions already pre-made and are ready to capitalize on that. So I won't be supporting the motion either. Anyways, I will now call the question. All those in favor of the Backbone 10-year project with deferred for 1 year to 25, 26, and 27? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. All right. Now going to 6.2 in regards to the draft operating budget, please, and thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the Open Access Network, I'm proud to say, is ready to host telecommunication providers. We're very close to signing our first customer. We're anticipating to see revenue in 2024, and we've included that in the draft operating budget for 2024. With respect to operational expenses for 2024, it is based on the approved business plan, but we've also incorporated adjustments based on our experience over the last year of operating the network, and incorporated our learnings in there, as well as some unforeseen expenses. So now includes a supplemental broadband technician position that we're proposing, and it's aimed at enhancing business continuity, succession planning. We currently have a broadband technologist overseeing the construction operation of the network, as well as an administrative support technician for that role. Just a reminder for the committee, the draft business plan, or the approved business plan rather, actually speaks to the addition of up to 5 additional staff as the network continues to grow and operate and bring on customers. So we're seeing a tipping point now, for the first of those staff to come on, And what we want to ensure is that we've got adequate support there, that as telecommunications providers are negotiating contracts through our network operator, Rigstar, that we're in a position that we can start delivering services on a timely basis, manage their requirements, and as well provide for succession planning. So right now we don't have all the knowledge in one or two people, that we start to share that knowledge so that we have continuity should one or both of those people leave the organization. We don't want to be caught unprepared. So we're looking ahead to the future and see that opportunity to bring that technologist on. And as well, in terms of the business plan, we'll be updating that and bringing that back to the committee for information in the next year, starting to incorporate those learnings that we're seeing and modifying it as we see that business plan as a living document as opposed to a once-in-time plan, because quite frankly, things change, prices change, costs change, strategies change. So we'll be bringing that for information and update in the new year.
Okay. Thank you very much. Question in regards to the project technologists. In the past I'm curious, I know we advertise outside for this position. Has there been much of a response as far as applications? Because if it is, I'm curious where we're drawing these people from, or if they're from other provinces outside the area, within the area. So if you could maybe give us a little bit of a background on that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Thanks,
Elena.
Mr.
I was
McDonald.
being bossy with Elena. I
That's okay.
apologize. Yeah, the technologist that we have now is from Ontario. So we have been pulling from out of province for the level of skill. We did put out a proper feelers the first time. We got about 6 respondents, and not a lot of qualifications in some of them, but we interviewed a fair amount. But as this is more increasingly the telecommunications area, we're hoping that maybe we're going to attract somebody local, or that somebody has the skills in these areas that can apply for the job and do it. So we're hopeful. Again, technology is a hard thing to do. It's easy to hire somebody in Calgary or Edmonton. It's a little difficult to get people out here. And I don't know. Once I moved here, I liked it, so I can't say too much.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. Yesterday, Public Works requested a project technologist in their budget. Can we share?
I think the skill levels are totally different. They're a totally different job description and job type. To get somebody that could do both would be difficult at best. And I think we'd be using them so much we wouldn't have time for them to go do their other half of the job. The job sharing, I don't think would be good either side of it. Just my personal opinion.
Supplementary?
Yep.
Based on what I know of the job description for the way it was explained to me, you're basically project oversight, right?
To a point, you have to know the technology and behind it, how the technology works, how it's configured. You have to have a deep knowledge of that. It's not just managing a project and overseeing. You have to have hands-on skills.
Okay, so, because that's where I'm a little bit confused, because on one hand, we're told the Public Works project technologist will be looking at project oversight and doesn't necessarily have to be an engineer. But on your project technologist, you're basically saying they need to be a fiber engineer in order to accomplish this task?
No. Just somebody with, with a high level of skill in telecommunications, not building a bridge or something.
Director Hagan?
Thank you. Perhaps I can clarify a bit as well. What we're proposing here is a technician level position. The technician would be supporting the technologists that we already have on staff. And this technician would need to be, this very specialized work. So they need very specialized training and experience in in broadband generally and IT as well. Public Works is very different work. And while some of this is definitely going to be project related, some is going to be operational as well. So there'll be a combination of both there. So yes, there is some similarity in terms of the project management. The projects themselves are going to be very specialized and very different.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lai?
Just to share a bit of how far behind we are in rural Alberta. I graduated 40 years ago. I've lived here most of my life, and I can only think of a handful of people that are technically capable of those things that live within our region. It's just not something that rural Alberta has had as a priority until now, and I'm glad to see the changes starting to happen.
Thank you for that. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. So what does Rigstar do? If we are hiring all these people in-house, what does Rigstar do? I thought they were around to do all those things, and that's why we're paying them.
Director Hagan?
So our staff would be overseeing future construction, assisting with that, assisting the broadband technologists with that. That's out of Rigstar's purview. That's not within their contract. When it comes to the operations, it would be helping Mr. McDonald manage that relationship with Rigstar going forward. But very much Rigstar is our outward face to the telecommunications provider. And they do the day-to-day dealings with them and handle trouble calls, that sort of thing. This would be looking after and managing our infrastructure in conjunction with Rigstar. So there will be some handoff there, but there's very much the work that we need to do versus the work that we've contracted out to Rigstar. We have not within their contract asked them to come in and manage every aspect of our operation.
Okay. Supplementary?
Yes, thank you. Oversee future construction? There isn't any. Currently, there's no future construction approved. So what would this person do until such time that future construction is approved?
I would suggest that 2024, while there's no construction approved for the next fiscal year, and as we've discussed, that could change if the grant happens to come through from CRTC, would put us in a better position to be prepared for that event, or if we recommence construction next year in 2025. In the meantime, I think it was an excellent opportunity for us to start that knowledge transfer and that backup support for the existing staff that we've got now. So again, prepares us for the future.
Okay. Councillor Graham?
Under the expenditures for contracted and general services, an example of that would be Rigstar. Okay, so that's because the construction for contracted services would be under the capital budget.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. 2023 is showing a revenue. What is that? Where did this give us revenue?
That is not actual. That was the budget for 2023. Okay. So that's what we anticipated. We haven't seen it in 2023. We don't expect we're going to see it by the end of the year, but we're optimistic that we will see revenue in 2024. That's why we've conservatively budgeted $350,000. So essentially, we've looked at the business plan and kind of shifted things forward in terms of that inaugural year of actually having customers on board and that sort of thing. Customers being the telecommunications providers. So we are anticipating they will come on at some point in time in 2024.
Thank you.
So as we had indicated back in the report that, with our news release back in September, so we've just been barely a month with our news release, and that you've participated in the AB Muni's trade show at the end of September, that we as the committee can continue to advocate going forward and maybe move the needle on that revenue section with more advocacy and I would say it becomes more familiar and becomes more fluid with us in regards to helping promote our infrastructure and our open access network. So with that. All right, looking at that, the motion before us, or the recommendation is that we recommend approval of the Broadband Core 2024 operating budget as presented. Any other? Looking for a motion? Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. So how many, for the 375,000 proposed, how many staff is that?
It'll be 3 staff in total,
3 staff.
technologist, administrative technician, and an operational technician.
So 2 existing and a new one.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Grant?
I think I've made every motion this meeting. This all makes sense, I would say. As I said yesterday, with higher service levels comes higher need for staff. So I will make a motion that the Broadband Committee recommends that council approves the Broadband Core 2024 operating budget.
Thank you. Deputy Reeve Melhoff?
Thank you, Reeve. Unfortunately, I won't be supporting the motion to approve the budget for broadband operating. A large portion of the staff member being requested sounds like it's oversee future construction. There's no future construction on the list. I'd like to see what Rigstar has to offer us. I'd like to have a better understanding of what the current employees we have are actually being used for on this program, considering we don't actually have a lit up service. So I will not be in favor of approving the operating budget today.
Thank you. Councillor Northcott?
As per the background information here, with the very close to signing the first customer as described here in the background, I will be supporting this. There's been a significant investment made already, so I will be supporting this just to see where it goes.
As I've asked at the beginning of in regards to the project technician position and how few qualified applications come in, and I understand that this position isn't going to come in overnight, and this may take 6 months to fill this position, and totally understanding that to track that, and as things may progress with a successful CRTC grant, that would be great, that this could be also prorated throughout next year as well, so depending on when we get that position. So I will be supporting the operational budget. Councillor Lougheed.
Yeah, just an important question for me that when we, in other elements of our organization, when we bring on new staff, I imagine we expect a certain period of time for orientation, for bringing people up with the expectations of their job, as well as if you have a very complex project with a lot of variables, I imagine it requires additional time to bring the history around a project that's probably been batted around by councils for 20 years, to bring them up to be knowledgeable of that history as well. Would I be correct in assuming that it takes some time to do that before that person can be put into a productive role or a more productive role?
Councillor, or Mr. Hagan.
Thank you for the compliment, I think.
You're welcome.
I would absolutely agree with you, Councillor Lougheed. It will take some time for that. It is a complex project. It will take time to transfer that knowledge and get the person up to speed. We would suggest that if council approves the budget, we would commence the recruitment activities fairly quick in the new year. And then as the chair has indicated, it probably will take us some time to hire the correct qualified candidate. I would suggest there's also time to be spent building relationships, not only in terms of the team that is focusing on the broadband, but also with the Rigstar personnel, getting to know them, as well as other county staff and so forth. So all of that will take some time, and not only the time of that person, but the time of the supervisors and management in terms of supporting that person through that transition. So I think you're absolutely right.
All right. For supplementary?
That very much helps me build confidence in supporting the motion before us.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments or questions? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried. All right. Now looking at the end of the agenda, I believe, oh, Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. Prior to our last motion of the day, I'd like to make a motion requesting administration reach out to the appropriate federal, provincial government and/or granting entities to advocate for our broadband program.
Basically, it's an advocacy piece in regards to our provincial and federal counterparts. All those, any discussion towards this? Councillor Northcott.
Just curious if administration would have any information. Are groups or organizations already maybe doing that for advocacy?
Mr. McDonald.
Yeah, there's, I'm gonna get the names all mixed up, but there's the Alberta Rural Connectivity that does that. I think RMA I don't know if you guys know more, but RMA does reach out for advocacy for Alberta people or rural. And there's the other one, the CRRBA, I might be wrong. But they reach out for all Canadians. They're all through Canada for advocacy. So maybe we can reach out and talk to them. And I know there's a convention coming up in Kelowna and in Banff that we can reach out and do those and hand those cards out and such. So we'll be doing that. So the marketing cards that we've given you, sorry. Nobody
Yes.
can see what I have in my hand.
Yes. I would add to that list, Open Media, Cybera,
Yes, I've heard
yes.
it too.
in that regard, so, with that. Deputy Reeve Melhoff.
Thank you, Reeve. I left my motion intentionally vague as to not breach closed session information. I would like administration to set up a meeting for the Reeve and the Deputy Reeve to advocate specifically for Clearwater County projects. I get that there's other entities that are advocating for rural Alberta and Albertans in general. I would like us to specifically advocate for ours, and I've left it intentionally vague as to not breach in camera.
Councillor Lougheed.
I would certainly encourage those efforts. I would not let our local MLA and our MP, I bring them in on that thing. Hopefully they can bury some of their political aspirations and really recognize what is important to rural Alberta and advocate as well from their level alongside you. Sometimes partisan politics gets in the way of what's best for the community, and I really can only emphasize how important it is to look at a vision and do what you can do and quit some of the non-productive political stuff.
All right. Councillor Northcott.
Just because there are so many, there's so much awareness already and so much advocacy on this topic. I don't want to put additional workload on to staff to organize this. I think there are other areas that are maybe unique and are going unrecognized right now that could be resolved in society, and maybe those efforts could be used in those areas that haven't been identified. Great effort. I think there's just already so much support and so many organizations already trying to move this forward. So that's my comment on it.
Okay. Councillor Lougheed.
I hate to mention, but I'm somewhat confused, Councillor Northcott, because I got the concept that you weren't supportive of rural broadband in general. Maybe I'm just finding it difficult to find a position where you voice on advocacy, but yet you're not advocating for. It seems like a counterintuitive thing, but just maybe I'm perceiving it wrongly. So.
Councillor Northcott.
There my comment was that I do not want to put additional staff time on advocating for something that many organizations are already advocating for. I think there are other areas of society, and there's priorities. There's many priorities and many things to complete. Like I said, I'll say it again, I don't want to put additional tasks onto administration when there's other organizations out there already advocating for rural connectivity. None.
Thank you. All right, the motion before us put forth by Deputy Reeve Melhoff for further advocacy. The mustache is getting in the way. Everybody understands what we're saying. I will call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. There's nothing further. I will look for a motion of adjournment. Councillor Cermak? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Have a good day. Happy Halloween.